You're listening to Thunderquack Podcast Network. It may look like an ordinary podcast, but this one's bigger on the inside, and it can travel anywhere in time and space. Pack your sonic screwdrivers and your jelly babies. Grab your hats, scarves, and tighten your bow ties. You're the companion now, so get ready to run with your hosts, Jason Hunt and Paul Gann. This is Talking Timelords. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Talking Timelords podcast. This is episode number 4, The Dark Side of the Doctor panel. I am, as always, one of your hosts, Jason Hunt, and with me, my companion on this great podcasting adventure, we have Paul Gann.
Geronimo!
How's it going, Paul?
It's going great, dude.
Awesome. Well, this episode is going to be a little bit different. Yes, we're 4 episodes in, and we're already changing things up. No, I had the opportunity to go to Phoenix Comicon about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, about 2 weeks ago at the time of this recording. And I was able to attend a couple of Doctor Who panels, one of which I was able to record, and we are going to share here on the podcast for you. The panel is entitled The Dark Side of the Doctor, and it contains the panelists' 10 darkest storylines in Doctor Who, from the earth-shattering to horrible choices and everything in between, that sort of thing. And so we're going to play that audio for you and let you guys enjoy that as a bit of a change of pace. But before we jump into that audio, we wanted to talk briefly about, some of the darker themes and some of the horror themes that sometimes creep up in Doctor Who. The Doctor always fights monsters, literal monsters and, beings that become or are monsters in their own right. And of course, as I said a minute ago, Doctor Who also likes to play with, horror elements like, with the Weeping Angels or the Silence and that sort of thing. And there's a lot of that that's been throughout the series over the years, even as far back as, the very first season, because I remember watching documentaries and how all the kids were talking about how terrified they were of the Daleks, which, of course, if you go back and watch those episodes from the first season, they're a little less intimidating than they are now. Let's just say that.
Maybe.
Although there are some creepy, they do play up the creepy atmosphere. There's something about Black and White that really helps some of the creepy atmospheres, and I think for the first 2 Doctors that helps in some cases. So
I think that it leaves a little bit of a mystery, at least in my opinion, when you're watching something in black and white. I don't know. For me, black and white is a little more unsettling.
Yeah,
because it doesn't feel quite natural. Just my opinion, but I think that when you're looking at tones, I will say that there are some, at least in my opinion, some darker tones in the newer Doctor episodes, whereas the darker themes have always stayed the same throughout the classic and new shows.
Mm-hmm. And just for clarification, what do you differentiate between tones and themes?
Well, I would say tonally, when you're looking at maybe some of the graphicness of some of the imagery, things of that nature, actual dark color, dark lighting versus the original classic stuff was more brightly lit, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. And of course, themes. We've seen a lot of sort of consistent repeating themes throughout the series. As I said before, with the various forms of monsters. And of course, the Doctor has referred to many of his foes as monsters over the years. The Master being one,
yes,
in particular, and of course, others have called the Doctor a monster. So.
It's all about that certain point of view, right?
Yes, to bring another franchise in here. But is there any specific thing that you wanted to hit real quick before we jumped into the panel audio?
Well, when I think of dark themes, I think of things like the Cybermen, who were, let's just put it this way. Star Trek copied Doctor Who. The Cybermen basically, at least for me, it just every time I think about it, it creeps me out that they leave basically nothing of the person except for maybe their brain and their spinal column, and everything else is robotic, parts that... And I'm sure that there are probably a few other bits and pieces left inside the shell, but the thing about that too is over the years, as the Cybermen continued to change, it seemed as if they left less and less and less and less of the original material intact. And
that is what they would call a person, is original material.
I was using their terminology.
Yes.
That just always creeps me out just thinking about that, because especially when they were referring to Cybermen in some of the newer episodes, I think in like season 2 maybe, when they were talking about that there is literally something in the Cybermen that cuts off their ability to feel anything so that they don't scream and go crazy. I mean, yeah.
No emotions. That's been a constant with the Cybermen ever since the beginning. That's kind of a dark thing too. There's no emotion. It's pure emotionless logic, and they're just kind of creepy.
The same thing for the Dalek. The Dalek have, it seems like the only emotion that the Dalek knows, or the only two I should say, are fear and anger.
Yeah.
And who wants to live in fear and anger for eternity?
Right. Well, apparently the Daleks do. And of course that anger is sort of just levels of, just simmering, sort of baseline anger to total rage, insanity. So it's depending on what's going on. And the only thing that makes them afraid is the Doctor. So
you think about it, though, they're like the Nazis have nothing on the Dalek. The Dalek are like the ultimate racists, the ultimate in racial cleansing. If you're not Dalek, you're dead, basically. It's it's messed
kind of
up.
Dark. It is messed up. Very, very messed up. But yeah, so there's a lot of different dark elements in Doctor Who, but we don't want to take too much away from what you're going to hear discussed on the panel. So I think we'll table this discussion amongst ourselves for now. Maybe we'll revisit it at a future episode. But for now, we're going to let you guys listen to the panel audio. So hope you guys enjoy.
I'd like to welcome everybody to our Doctor Who panel. So my name is Matt Duncan. I'd like everybody, my guys, introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Dwayne. Let's see, I've been watching Doctor Who since the 80s. Again, I said earlier, my first Doctor was actually Peter Cushing because I saw Doctor Who and the Daleks, according to the announcer that was announcing the movie. And then I started watching Tom Baker. Let's see, my wife and I would do a Doctor Who night at Gotham City Comics and Coffee on Tuesdays. If anyone's interested, you can flag me down and I'll tell you more about it. But yeah, I've been watching the show for ages now, and I really enjoy it. Over to you.
Hi, my name is Jesse Canfield. I've been watching Doctor Who since Christopher Eccleston. I didn't watch the first 3. I got in on Aliens in London, which is a weird one to start, but hey. It was back when even BBC America wasn't playing the Doctor Who episodes, so we were getting them 6 months behind. I've been watching ever since. I love it. Try to get my son involved. He's 3, but every time he hears the theme song, he comes in and sits down on the sofa, so that's good news. Plan to continue watching Doctor Who until I die, and I plan on being in the theater for the 100th anniversary special.
I'm Mac Duncan. I'm one of the co-founders of the Torch Theater, and I'm also a filmmaker and a puppeteer. Those of you who are over 18 and are interested in the Adult Puppet Slam at 9 o'clock tonight, there will be a Back to the Future Doctor Who crossover show happening tonight, so come check that out. And I've been watching Doctor Who since Sci-Fi was running the original the Doctor Who 9 episodes.
Hi, my name is Sean. I got into Doctor Who with Eccleston, and he has my heart. I love Christopher Eccleston. Don't take him away from me, and I want him back. But I'm just a natural Whovian. I got into with Eccleston, like I said, one of my buddies said, "Hey, you should watch Doctor Who," and I said, "Dude, you're crazy. I'm never watching Doctor Who." And then he sat me down and made me watch Doctor Who, and I marathoned it for about 2 days straight. Yeah, I'm not proud of that, but I love Doctor Who. So there you go.
And again, my name is Matt Duncan. I'm a science fiction writer, and I've been watching Doctor Who since Baker, and I'm a big science fiction geek, and I honestly do have a lot of influence on what I do from Doctor Who, as well with the other sci-fi shows out there. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This is the dark side of Doctor Who, and so we're going to give you our top 10 of the darkest moments or darkest episodes of Doctor Who and why. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have each person basically introduce one at a time and give a brief explanation of it, and then we're going to discuss it. So first up is Day of the Doctor and Mac.
All right, Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary show. Yeah. This was the episode where we went back and actually got to witness the Time War between Gallifrey and the Daleks, and we got to know the Forgotten War Doctor, which was the one between 8 and 9 that the Doctor is deliberately, conveniently forgotten because of his dark past and dark history. And the War Doctor, who doesn't feel worthy of the designation of Doctor, was responsible for stealing the Moment, which was the ultimate weapon that destroyed Gallifrey in order to end the Time War with the Daleks. And this is the moment that, this is the dark moment that the Doctor has been carrying with him ever since his regeneration into number 9, and has been carrying that with him and denying and trying to forget it. And in this episode, not only is he coming up to confront the Moment, who is manifest as Rose Tyler, a woman he has not met yet, but also he has to confront his future selves. Number 10, the man who regrets, and number 11, the man who forgets.
So I'm going to open up to the panel. So what are you guys' thoughts on the Day of the Doctor?
Personally, I loved Day of the Doctor. Now, being an Eccleston fan, being somebody who is genuinely like, I just can't understand why you won't come back, bro, I do anything to have you come back, it left me aching for just a little bit more. Especially right at the end when we get John Hurt slightly regenerating into Eccleston. And the moment happens, and I'm sitting and I literally jumped out of my seat thinking the rumors were wrong. Eccleston came back. He has settled his differences. Yes.
You had to kill Stephen Moffat to get those episodes.
I have a love-hate relationship with Stephen Moffat, but we'll talk about that.
Most of us do.
It was more with frosted babies anyway.
Sure, that's a good point. It really left me aching for a little bit more Eccleston, and as much as I loved John Hurt as the War Doctor, I think that he did a marvelous job portraying the War Doctor, the person who actually did these actions, who actually ended the Time War before regenerating into Eccleston. I thought he was a perfect choice. I wanted just a little bit more from Eccleston.
I think in terms of it being a dark episode, this is double genocide that we're talking about. This is the Doctor getting pushed to such a point, seeing the futility of the Daleks versus the Time Lords and all the destruction that's ravaged through time and space and planets destroyed, and who knows how many countless other civilizations have been destroyed. And this is a man pushed to the deepest, darkest point where he says the only way that I can end this is to destroy and wipe out of existence 2 entire cultures, 2 entire races, and if that doesn't...
And one of his own.
And one of them his own, so if that doesn't count as dark, then you, my friend, are very twisted.
Okay, so that was number 10, Day the Doctor. Number 9 is The Girl Who Waited. So, can time be rewritten? Would you destroy your older self to save your younger self? Would that be the same as killing the entirely different person? Could you look into the eyes of your long-lost friend and refuse to save her? The choice is not simple. The Doctor can't just save both, yet he must choose one. And this was one of my top picks because it was a very difficult choice. And it wasn't just Amy's choice, wasn't just Roy's choice. The Doctor, who always has to think of the big picture, and has to make this choice, and he knows that one way or the other, he's got to choose between one. He's going to end up killing the other. And for me, it was, probably one of the more difficult moments that you see the Doctor go through, and where he basically has to decide that he knows better than everybody else, and he alone has to make that decision. Panel?
Personally, for me, what I found to be the darkest moment of this episode was that the Doctor almost kind of wants Rory to choose. And he kind of tricks Rory into making that choice when they get back to the TARDIS. He makes the joke, I don't know, it's your marriage, and he goes on about tinkering with the compensators, and he ends up stating, he tells Rory, no, the TARDIS can handle the paradox. We're good. He flat out lies to Rory and says, we're good, both Amy's are coming with us. And that for me was a very dark moment from Smith, from that Doctor, and then having Rory kind of just, wait, what? When they get to the Doctor that's crushing. How am I supposed to choose between these 2 versions of my wife? So for me, that was the darkest moment of the episode.
Yeah, I can sum up this episode with
Personally, I think you made the right choice. Other Amy was a little ungrateful. But I waited for you for 20, 30 years. I waited for you for 2 freaking years. There's some bad.
Are we keeping score? Come on!
She has no sense of scale. It wasn't a choice at all for me, but I don't know, maybe I'm just a jerk.
Yeah, it was just kind of, we're you did have the older Amy who was just really embittered. And again, you have that choice where if he tries to put them together, it's really not going to work because it will cause some really tiny, whiny inconsistencies that would be really, really bad.
She was mean.
She was Scottish. I can say that my last name's Duncan, okay?
Okay, so we're going to go Sean with number 8.
Cool. All right, so we got Angels Take Manhattan. So angels.
Start crying now.
Angels, just start crying now. So of course we get the Weeping Angels. Just the whole thing. They're having their nice picnic in New York, and we get jumped into this story, and it turns out being the last story. The feels. So, I mean, I love this episode personally. I love that it's Amy and Rory's last episode. I think it was a perfect ending for them, and the way that it ends was just, it was perfect for me. In terms of being a dark episode, I don't think you can get away from a dark episode when you bring in the Weeping Angels. I mean, they're just nightmare fuel.
It wasn't dark, it was heart-wrenching, but it was not dark.
And it was heart-wrenching that, for me, the connection between Amy and Rory in that episode was perfect. Having them ultimately come back together and realize that they are going to spend the rest of their lives together, jumping off the roof together to reset time so that Rory's not living his life alone. For me, it's a very heart-wrenching moment for Amy and Rory that, it's settled. Amy and Rory are together. They're the couple. It's the ultimate, all right. There may have been some questions at the beginning of the Doctor and Amy having something going on, but this is it. This is Amy and Rory to the end.
For me, they almost lost me at the beginning of the episode. The Statue of Liberty is the Weeping Angel.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, it's the Muppets. Ghostbusters 2, yeah.
Behind you.
But in the city that
Never sleeps.
they did make it up when the whole thing when Rory is an old man dying in bed, seeing Amy for one last time, and then the whole cycle starts over again. And basically, they made a choice at the end, and they said, I'd rather be dead than not with you. So that's my choice. And yeah, it's heart-wrenching. I don't know if it's necessarily dark, other than the fact that they had to make this choice without the Doctor, and they basically had to demonstrate that they had grown to the point that they were going to make that self-sacrifice that normally the Doctor was the only one prepared to make.
Well, and I think it ties into the darkness that we're currently seeing with Capaldi, because that is a heart-wrenching loss for the Doctor, because he's known Amy since she was a little girl. He's watched Rory grow from being this wheedling little wussy, let's be honest, to Roranicus, the Centurion. And he's formed a very close bond that I don't think he's had with a lot of the other companions. They made them, it was almost like he was a surrogate father, along with best friend, along with son-in-law, which is just weird. And I think that sudden loss, because yes, losing Rory, that was heart-wrenching for him, but realizing that he was going to lose Amy too, I think that just contributes to the overall darkness that we see in Capaldi when he comes about.
I mean, you have a deep, infinite time machine that can take you anywhere in the universe. You can pretty much live forever, but you can't save your best friends.
Right.
There's some things the Doctor can't do. Yeah, that's
pretty dark,
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go on to number 7 with Dwayne.
This is Inferno. It's John Kirkby one. Do you have
How did you get into the complex? Where did you first become a traitor? Unless you cooperate, you'll soon be a part of a firing squad. I've very little time left.
My dear young lady, we all have very little time left.
Doctor, where did you go?
Parallel world, this. Terrible things are happening now. Terrible things.
So I said, Julia.
Why did you come?
is from the 7th season of the show, the first season in color, and this is John Pertwee's last story for that season. It was his first season as the Doctor. The gist of it is Inferno is the project nickname for a project to penetrate the Earth's crust and obtain this special gas that's supposed to be really high in energy and cure the world's energy problems. But you run into where there are some really weird issues going on where this green slime will cause people to mutate. And also, if they cut through the Earth's crust, the Doctor finds out that it's going to destroy the planet. But while this is going on, he's been exiled to Earth, and he has his TARDIS console in one of the huts there, and he's using the nuclear power plant that's running the drills to do experiments on that. And he goes sideways through time, kind of like, if anyone remembers Sliders, it's kind of the same idea, where he's on a parallel Earth where it's the British Republic, and the British royal family has been executed. They're kind of like a fascist state. Right there you have the brigadier, who's the brigade leader. You have Sergeant Benton, who's now a platoon leader. And so he's dealing with these people, and they're further along with their program to penetrate the Earth's crust. And the big dark thing is the planet's going to get destroyed, and the Doctor wants to get back to tell his Earth that he's from, to stop the program. But also he's got these people who are kind of parallels to people he loves and deals with, and he can't take them with him because it will cause a really weird paradox that will cause some really bad issues as far as time and space goes. So that's kind of, there's a bit there where he's getting ready to go, and you have the other, you have Liz and the Brigadier there and some other people from there, and he's trying to go and he's saying, no, I can't take you with me, I can't take you with me, and Liz realizes that, and the Brigadier is just trying to get him to take him with him. And I don't want to ruin anything if you're going to watch this episode, so I'm not going to get into too much detail there, but it's really the big choice that the Doctor has to make is he's got to go back and he can't take these people with him. And he would really kind of like to, they don't get into it as much, but he can.
Any addition from the panel?
I've never seen this episode, but I have watched Sliders. I think they should have stopped when the O'Connell brothers left, because why is Remy the center character in that show? But
It's better parallel with the evil spot.
Yeah, there's also there the ISS Enterprise with Mirror. That's a good parallel too. The other thing is it's also a bit like where you have the two Amy's and you can't have them together. So you run into that, and then there's also some other classic Doctor Who ones where you have two Brigadiers that can't be together from different time periods.
Okay, we're going to move on next. Next is Jesse with number 6.
The Curse of Fenric. So we open up on the Doctor and the Ace.
The treasures we have stolen, the earth shall fall asunder and walk haunted, almost dead. The walls of Fenric shall return for their treasure. That is just superstition. By the curse of Fenric.
So, Curse of Fenric opens up. You've got Ace and the Doctor. They happen on a secret naval base where we have a commander and a doctor, not the Doctor, working on this machine that's akin to the Enigma machine. But the kicker is that it's in this cursed place. It's off of Maiden's Bay, and there's been a curse that's been around since the Vikings. Well, this commander has found the source of the curse, and it's this green ooze that they've been digging up that a drop of it will just wipe you out. And so we've got the commander who's planning to send this to the Soviet Union, though at the time, because it's during World War II, they were allies, so that if they need to, they can go ahead and kick off genocide of all the Soviet people. Now, throughout the course of this, you have Soviets invading. You have suddenly these herbivores appearing, and they're slowly killing off everyone in the town. They're trying to convert the ladies to herbivores, which are basically vampires. They're trying to release Fenric, who is this ancient evil that's been chained since the dawn of time. And really, it's a lot of people who are dying. There's this ancient evil that's trying to get out. The only thing that can stop it is faith, and nobody has enough faith except for Ace. And I don't want to give away the ending, but in this episode, in addition to the multiple deaths by herbivore, in addition to the gals in the town being turned into vampires, you find that these generations have been cursed by this evil, that Ace's mother and grandmother were kind of played by this ancient evil, Fenric, to create Ace the way that she is. And to finally win, because the only protection against the herbivores is faith, the Doctor has to just excoriate Ace and just light into her and just destroy any faith that she has in him. So we have vampires, we have an ancient Viking curse, we have murders aplenty, and then we have him completely alienating this young girl who had so much faith in him. So I think that stands out as a very dark moment, because we are dealing with, again, this ancient curse that's been playing against the Doctor, trying to get free, trying to destroy the world, because what the herbivores are is the human race destroyed by this ancient evil, unleashing this green slime on the world and creating an evil, toxic world. And the only way to save the day is to destroy Ace's faith. Now, eventually, obviously, the Doctor wins the day, but it's a lot of, I mean, if you can get past the cheesy effects, I'm sorry I had trouble with that. It's got a lot of very dark moments, and I think it really stands out as being one of the darker serials from the classic.
Let me pose this question to you. Now, the older Doctor didn't have the budget that the newer Doctor has. Now, do you think that when they had the constraints of no special effects and no budget, that they had to really focus more on the writing and the character development than they do today? Or do you think it's just as strong today?
I think it's as strong today, depending on the episode, because a lot of the dialogue is very stilted, a lot of the acting is very wooden, but the overall message of the plot and the challenges that are faced by the Doctor and the way he's got to tear down Ace, I think that really, if you can look past what we're used to, because a lot of us started with Eccleston, and look past the fact that they had the budget constraints, and you look at the plot and the message and the situations, that it actually does stand out as a good episode, a relatively dark one.
Cool. We're going to move on to number 5. This is with Matt.
All right, Asylum of the Daleks. It's run, you clever boy, and remember. I didn't know that clip. Prepare me for these things. Tell me.
I sent you the PDF.
Okay.
Sorry.
Asylum of the Daleks. So you have a planet full of Daleks that are so mad, crazy, and messed up, not even the Daleks want to deal with them. So they put them all there. And not only that, but there is a microvirus of nanites that attack any organic matter and turn anything alive or dead into a Dalek zombie. So you have people walking around with Dalek eyeballs popping out of their foreheads. Some of them are skeletons. So if that's not nightmare fuel, it's right up there with the, not quite as bad as Sleeping Angels, but it's kind of in the neighborhood. And of course you have the tragedy of Osmond Oswald. It's our first appearance of Clara, and we don't know it's going to be only the first. It appears like it could be the last, because in encountering the Doctor, we discover that she is actually not really a person, but a Dalek, believing she is a person, because she was a person that fell victim to this virus and became a Dalek. And then in later seasons, I'm sorry, spoiler, but we will learn that she is Clara, the impossible girl who has helped the Doctor at various points in his life. But in this episode, in the context of this episode, you're left with the tragedy of she is a Dalek who was trapped in the mind of a person making souffles without milk. But I think the most heartbreaking part of this episode, apart from that, is in this episode, Amy and Rory have divorced because they have basically, Amy feels that she's no longer worthy of Rory. She feels that, because she can't give him children, that she needs to let him go. And they have this moment where Rory is willing to sacrifice himself because he truly believes that he loves her more than she loves him, which is a really hard point for any relationship to come to of I feel like I'm giving you more of this than you are. And that is not only their lowest point, but then becomes their reconciliation point. And so hope comes from this darkest point. But yes, this is a dark episode with zombies and hopelessness and death and Daleks that are so bad the Daleks don't want them.
So what do you guys think about this being a dark episode?
What's not to love?
The opportunity to give it brilliant, making all the Daleks forget about it.
Yes.
But I think it is dark because you've got this entire episode that's almost this rescue mission of Clara, and she's helping them. And you go through this episode and you're rooting for him, and the Doctor finally gets to the door, and what is it? It's a Dalek. And she doesn't know she's a Dalek, and that just tears you up. Because this entire time you've been rooting for the Doctor to get there and to save her and to get her and Rory and Amy off the planet. And then you find out she's a Dalek.
What got me was he knew early on. He figured it out. And I always kind of wondered, at what point was he sure? Was it that last moment that it confirmed it, or?
I think the souffle was the first clue.
Sure, was the first clue,
Yeah, so where's the milk?
And see, that for me as well is he knew from the beginning where do you get the milk for the souffle, and through the whole episode for me watching this, personally I'm the kind of person that picks up on those things, and throughout the entire episode I already was like, all right, what's up? My gut is just doing this inside.
Yeah, I was doing that too. I saw it. And the other thing you run into is that the Daleks refer to the Doctor as the Predator, and you kind of get into, well, they're doing some really evil, nasty stuff, but how much of that is in retaliation to how the Doctor is to them? Mm-hmm. So that's when you get into a lot of dark stuff there, because maybe if the Doctor wasn't destroying them as much as he was, or causing them as much grief, they might not be doing as much as they were.
And he has to go through that maze of Daleks that are specifically there because they dealt with him.
Yeah, they name off the planets and goes, oh yeah, I was there, and yeah, So yeah, they really don't like me, especially this one. The Daleks don't like me as it is, but yeah, these guys really don't like me, and I drove them crazy.
Yeah, this is awkward.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. All right, so I guess the computer's telling me to move on. All right, so next is number 4, the parting of ways.
They're just so alien. The aliens are so alien.
I'm going to raise that sort of. But the parting of ways, the Doctor can outsmart any alien, solve any riddle, and fix practically anything with a sonic screwdriver. Yet, when the choice is to destroy an entire race to save another, he must reach deep into his heart and find a dark side of himself who is willing to kill to save. And for me, this was really a huge part of Eccleston's development of the character, because he always kind of had a joke. He always kind of had, the whole idea that he knew how to save it, and he kind of already had a plan in place. But in this one, he had to deal with the fact that he needed to basically commit genocide in order to save another race, and it wasn't really that simple of a choice. And at the end, he knew that he had to make the ultimate sacrifice in order to basically save the day. And the choice that Rose made, basically superseding his sacrifice, really kind of gave the whole episode a dark tinge for me.
I think this is like the first hint of what went on in Time Lord. Because that's something that's a little piece of the mythology that was like a slow reveal until eventually we got up to get the Doctor. And so that's like the first hint. It's like this Doctor's carrying something that he's not willing to talk about, and confronting this choice is like, I'm here again, and you kind of what is he not telling us? And eventually, over time, when he goes into those dark moves, and not just with Eccleston, but also with Tennant, he saw those dark moves periodically, and then very much with Smith. It's like anytime he got to those points, he's like, it was a huge struggle to have to pull himself away from that burden, and eventually he got to figure out, all right, this is what's going on. So that's like our first little clue of he's got something he's not telling us.
Well, and we get a glimpse of that in the episode Dalek, where he says, I destroyed all of your kind. So this is a really dark moment for the Doctor as well, when he finds out that hidden out in space is an entire Dalek fleet. He killed his own people, and he killed all of the Daleks, and he thinks he's done, and that one last Dalek that he thought he destroyed, and now they're back again. So that right there, that's just another, just twist the knife for a man who's already deeply, deeply conflicted.
Utility.
Exactly.
Well, the other bit you run into is, in order to destroy the Daleks yet again, he's got to set up the Delta Wave, which is also going to destroy a lot of other people, a lot of innocent people. So in order to get rid of the big evil scourge, he's got to get rid of a lot of innocent people too, and that's the choice that he's trying to make here as well. And then you get in where Rose becomes the bad wolf and all that. And I don't know. Again, for those of you who haven't seen the episode, I don't want to say too much to ruin it, though we did say quite a bit about it. So I always feel funny going like, yeah, I could tell you all these reasons, but then it's kind of, how much do you really want to say? Because, you might want to watch this and we don't really want to spoil it for you. But then again, from where I am with Doctor Who, a lot of the stuff, I read the synopsis and stuff because the episodes were missing and then they were found, or there's just no way to see those episodes until much later.
We'll just call this a con safety tip. If you're going to go to a panel about a TV show that's been on the air for a while, spoilers will happen.
We should have told you that ahead of time. Sorry.
We're trying to keep the spoilers down, but yeah, you're still going to get quite a bit.
Spoiler alert.
And going back to Rose's decision to supersede, his sacrifice for the Delta Wave, I feel like that you kind of see a moment of relief from him. He kind of realizes, I feel like he is angry. Obviously Rose is committing genocide here and has taken the decision out of his hands, but that's the whole point. He is no longer having to make the decision of killing all of these innocent people as well as wiping out the Daleks again. And so you kind of see that relief there at the end when Rose is finished with her bad wolf.
And she brings Captain Jack back.
Well, that just mentioning Captain Jack is kind of another dark moment that you can bring up later is that he realizes, well, I've died so many times now, so I'm still aging. I mean, Captain Jack is kind of starting to
That's where he got his immortality was from that moment.
Yeah.
Well,
Nobody
that's
dies
canon.
anymore,
That's
and
canon.
then he gets immortality.
Captain Jack is a fixed point in time because of Rose's actions.
Okay, we're going to go on to number 3 with Wayne.
Okay, this is Waters of Mars. Okay, this is where, this is another fixed point in time. What we have going on here is, do that. Okay, this is a fixed point in time. The Doctor's just cruising around the universe. He goes to Mars. He realizes he's on Mars 21st of November 2059 at Bowie Base 1, which happens to have been destroyed, but it encouraged humanity to go off and see the rest of the galaxy and all this other stuff. So he's there and he realizes, wait a second, this is the date where all of these people die. It's a fixed point. I really need to go. But he does not go, and also he declares himself at the end of this to be the Time Lord victorious because the Time Lords are gone, and he says, yeah, I'm the only one left. I am in control of time. I can do whatever I want. I've saved little people. I've done little things to change time, but here's the thing that really is a major event that I really should not do anything about, and hey, I just changed it. Isn't that wonderful? And, that doesn't work well because, for instance, Adelaide, who is the commander of the base, is questioning him going, you shouldn't have this power. He goes, well, tough, I have it. What are you going to do? And she was supposed to have died there. Yeah, this is a big spoiler if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, leave the room now.
Go to your happy place.
She was the commander of the base, and it's partly her death that causes her granddaughter to captain the first ship to go way out to Andromeda or just edges of the universe and get everything going. And she ends up saying, well, no, I was supposed to die there, and you saved me, and you're telling me this was a big event that should not have been changed. And so she goes into her house and she ends up killing herself. And he realizes at that point, when the big flash of the gun and the sound, it's like, oh wait, what have I done? I've gotten way out of control. Yeah, and so he realizes just how far he has gone.
Then you would arrive.
First, I just base on Mars called Bowie.
Yeah,
Life on Mars. I just got that. But yeah, this is a pretty heavy moment. That moment where she walks into her house and you see the flash, you hear the bang, and then in Tennant's face, and that reaction was like it's like what I was feeling was on his face. It's like, again, it's the futility of your actions. So sometimes just...
There's a bit I left out. Apparently there's a virus that if it gets to Earth, it will destroy her. So that's why the base decided to self-destruct, and that's why she gave the command and all this. But he interferes where, we'll go ahead and destroy the base, but I will save you anyways, even though you're supposed to die there. And I'm really mucking with the timelines that I really should not be doing. But hey, I'm the last of the Time Lords. I'm the only one around. I can do this.
Got a question over there?
At least for me, as well as this being a dark episode, this is one of the most, for me, it's one of the creepiest creatures.
These guys are creepy.
Because a lot of them, you have a way to fight them. They have some sort of weakness. But these things, like, say, Dr. Murata, don't.
Yeah.
You're just kind of screwed.
It's kind of, you don't really contain these guys. I guess you can freeze them, which is what the Ice Warriors had done in the Big Glacier. But yeah, it's pretty much you just destroy them, or
you can't destroy them.
You can't destroy them, and you just
keep yourself isolated from them, or you're dead.
Yeah.
When they fight them, run.
Yeah.
Well, you don't become them by not drinking the water on Mars, pretty much.
Yeah. And also invest in better filters.
That's for college comes into play.
Yeah.
Can't be enough, join it.
I know.
So we're gonna move on. So we're gonna move on to number 2, which is Amy's choice, and we've got a clip for this one.
Something is overriding my controls. Well, that took a while. Honestly, I did such good things. Ask for the Timelords, the oncoming storm, him in a bow tie. How'd you get to my TARDIS? Where are you? What should we call me? Well, you're the Time Lord, let's call me the Dream Lord. That's good. This? No, I'm not convinced. Bow ties. Interesting. I'm impressed, but Dream Lord, it's in the name, isn't it? Spooky. Not quite bad. I hear very much here.
I'll do the talking, thank you. Hey, why don't you take your guess at what that is?
The dreamer, he creates dreams.
Dreams, delusions, cheap tricks.
What about the gooseberry here? Does he get a guess?
Listen, mate, if anyone's the gooseberry round here, it's the doctor.
Well, there's a delusion I'm not expecting. Oh, Amy. Choose even.
I have chosen. Of course. I've chosen. Is you stupid?
I've seen your dreams. Some of them twice. I'd blush if I had a blood supply. Or a renal fails.
Where did you pick up this cheap camera hand?
Me? Oh, you're on shaky ground. If you had any more tawdry quirks, you could open up a tawdry quirk shop. Vehicle, cockamamie hair, and clothes designed by a first-year fashion student. I'm surprised you haven't a little purple space dog. Just to ram home what an intergalactic wag you are. I know where I was. So here's your challenge. 2 worlds. Here, in the time machine, and there, in the village that time forgot. One is real, the other's fake. And just to make it more interesting, you're going to face in both worlds a deadly danger, but only one of the dangers is real. Tweet tweet, time to sleep. Oh. Or are you waking up?
Kind of a weird choice for dark episode, right? Kind of funny, right? Fun, sort of adventurous. You got the 2 choices until, and this is going to be a big spoiler, so earmuffs. Until you realize that the entire thing is false. This whole episode is a shared dream between Amy, Rory, and the Doctor. And the Dream Lord is the expression of the Doctor's subconscious. So that tells you a lot about where the Doctor's head is at right now. How many of you are your own worst critics? That's all of us, right? Yeah. For how many years you've been alive? What, 20, 30, 40, 15, 13? A long range of time. Now imagine that you're 900 years old and you have had nothing but tough choices. Dream Lord is the constant, every little barb, every little bit, every little jab he takes at the Doctor, you know that that's the Doctor looking at himself. And even more important, this shows what the Doctor thinks of his companions. He's got to put them in a situation where he thinks he's the only one who can save them. And he's constantly putting them in danger. Maybe because he needs to feel that he's important. Maybe he likes being the guy that saves the day. So this isn't dark because of what happens, but this episode is dark because you get a glimpse into the mind of a 900-year-old man who's had nothing but tough choices in defending these tiny puny humans. And he doesn't like himself very much.
This agrees with my theory that Maximus' goofiness in his character was really just a cover for all the regret of the Time War.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that.
The type situation he gets really kind of shut down into himself and quiet.
And I think
he's trying to forget. And the first thing he does to get out of it is, this is cool. He starts getting really goofy and childlike again.
Yeah, well, if you think about the episode of Pandorica opens, you know, he's sitting there in a fez with a monk. He's being ridiculous, and his ridiculousness is a way to handle all the darkness inside, and the Dream Lord calls him on all of his crap. And that's him saying, drop the act. And I think because of the 11th Doctor and all of the goofiness that we saw covering up the pain of the darkness is why we have the Doctor and Capaldi that we have today.
I completely agree with you. I thought the Dream Lord was an excellent dark persona of the Doctor's subconscious. It was a really interesting take. And being able to see into the mind of the madman with the box. And I think this episode goes to show that he really is a madman with the box at this point. He does not like himself very much.
Somebody had asked earlier, who's your favorite villain? And for me, this is my favorite villain because it's the one that creeped me out the most. Because the whole idea that your own worst enemy is yourself. And so the Doctor's own worst enemy is himself.
And you can't get away from him.
You can't get away with him, you can't defeat him. Yeah, go ahead.
Body count wise, isn't the Doctor the worst villain?
I think because without the Doctor, the universe has been destroyed about a dozen times. So I'm going to say that what's the dialect? Davros has a higher body count.
Actually, I think you could consider the Cybermen, both they have to kill people in order to create themselves, and they're constantly killing everyone.
No, they're not.
Well, they're constantly trying to
They're like the Borg. They're constantly taking everybody.
That's kind of, I always like to say, that's kind of insidious with them because they think they're doing you a favor.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, here I am, I'm going to make you like me so you won't die and have emotions and feel pain and stuff, and you're going to be good about that because I'm doing you a favor, whereas the Daleks just go, we're racist and Asian.
Cybermen like people who try to get you into Amway.
Bringing up the Cybermen as well, we've seen a couple of examples throughout the series that the Cybermen can be beaten by our humanity. They can be beaten. Like, when we get to Matt Smith's Doctor, the crying of a baby brings a father back to save his baby from being assimilated into a Cyberman. We get another example in Doomsday. Yvonne Hartman, the runner of Torchwood, she did her duty for Queen and Country, ends up being assimilated and comes back and ends up helping keep those Cybermen from reaching the control room so that Rose and Tennant have time to open the void. So we've seen that the Cybermen can be beaten, so I don't know if we can say that they're necessarily...
the Doctor isn't the greatest.
The Brigadier as a Cyberman saving his daughter.
Yeah,
that too.
From the dead.
Can't we all just agree that they're all nasty and horrible?
Right. Okay, with that, we'll move on to our number one, and Sean is going to present this one.
All right.
We've arrived.
All right, so of course, the end of time, as we said in our little Q&A before we got started, the Master. My favorite villain, hands down, and my favorite portrayal of the villain, hands down. This episode is just dark all around. We get the Master coming back. He almost makes it back to life, and his wife decides, well, that's not going to happen. So we get a half Master. We get a Ghost Master who's just even crazier than before, if you can believe that. And just the whole premise to me of turning everyone, spoilers by the way, of turning everyone in the world into the Master, it just kind of puts chills in my bones. That was a very, very creepy moment for me, and you kind of realize just how insane and dark this person is, that this Master is, and his history with the Doctor is just immensely gut-wrenching, and it really just attacks your feels. But other dark moments in the series, this is a dark moment for the Doctor, and you can see it. He comes back, he's reunited with Wilfred, he wants to see Donna. He wants the help of Donna, but knows that literally her head will pop if he goes back. This is a great example in the new series of Classic Who, or I'm not Classic, sorry, in the new series from Eccleston on, we physically see the Doctor pick up a gun, one of his biggest rules of not using weapons 3 times, and this is one of them. He picks up a weapon and he points a gun at his own people trying to come back from Gallifrey. We see that the Time Lords are trying to make a comeback here, and the Doctor knows that this just can't be it. That it can't happen. He's gotten to the point now where he's willing, not only has he already he's committed genocide by killing the Daleks and his own people during the Time War, but now he has to put a gun to their head again and say, this isn't right. You can't break out of whatever, you can't break out of the moment that we come to find out. There's spoilers. It's just not going to happen. It's dark all around for him, and then just the big ending for me, the 4 knocks, and you got Wilfred in this box, and you can see it on the Doctor's face when he turns. It's just that,
I know.
But I won. But we won. We won. We beat the Master. We saved the Earth. Damn it, Wilfred. And of course, I mean, for everyone who's a Tennant fan, I know there are a lot of Whovians out there who just absolutely love Tennant. This is just that moment where I don't think I know anybody who didn't shed a tear over Tennant's final line.
I don't want to go.
I don't want to go. I'm not ready.
That was also his same last line in Day of the Doctor also.
Yeah.
That was fan servicing.
So I mean, from the last episode for Tennant, I thought this was an excellent send-off for him, and it's an excellent sort of segue into Matt Smith's Doctor. We do get to see the darkness from Tennant shift over, but also, like we were mentioning, we do see that take back where Matt goes back to the goofier, childish thing. He has been through so much now at this point. He is so old. He's a madman with a box. He's lost it. He's lost all of these companions. He's lost all of these friends.
And he's had to sacrifice himself to save one of them, to save Wilfred. That's the second time he's had to save himself, or sacrifice himself to save a companion, and just from the restart of the new series.
I think this is probably one of my all-time favorite episodes. I mean, it's definitely a great tour de force for Tennant.
It's a good way to waste 4 episodes.
So we got 5 minutes, so I just wanted to take the last 5 minutes and open the floor up for questions.
All right, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed that audio. I, of course, had the great opportunity to hear that live, so it was a lot of fun, and the various audio that you heard throughout the panel, some of the time was video there on the screen, so that was a little more interactive for the live audience, but it should have gotten the point across well enough here for you guys. Before we let you guys go and wrap up this episode, we do want to let you know what is coming down the pipe for the next episode. We are starting our review episodes, and yes, I'm very much looking forward to this. And we briefly touched on this in our previous episode as to how we were doing that. We were going to be following a particular villain through the various Doctor Who episodes and catching all of those villains episodes throughout the series. And Paul, which villain are we starting with?
The Dalek.
Yes, the Daleks. So primarily because there are more Dalek episodes than just about any other villain episodes, and so this way we get to hit a bunch of the Doctors all in one go before having to start back over again. So there's only one Doctor that we don't get to, as far as I'm remembering. Only one Doctor that we don't get to with this, and that, of course, being the Eighth Doctor, Paul McGann.
Yes.
I almost said Paul Gann, and I caught myself, because as much as it would be great, you're not the Doctor.
No.
But
would you like a jelly baby?
I would, actually. No. But we're going to be starting from the very, very beginning with the Daleks, going all the way back to 1963, and the storyline entitled simply The Daleks, which is a First Doctor storyline. And that's how we're going to be starting this. We will be picking up at the very beginning of the show and working our way all the way through to the most recent episode with Peter Capaldi. And we will probably, maybe we'll have another Dalek episode added onto this before we finish. So with the new season, we'll see what happens.
The one thing to keep in mind is that we will be following the Doctor's timeline, so it will be in chronological order for the Doctor. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that it will necessarily be in chronological order for the Dalek.
Right. So this is, of course, which basically means we're going to do all the First Doctor, all the Second, Third, and so forth. So you'll be able to follow along easily that way. So, and this storyline is available on Hulu Plus. If you don't have a Hulu Plus membership, I highly recommend you get one, because it's got over 300 episodes of classic Doctor Who, plus most, if not all, of the new Who episodes that are available on Netflix. So highly recommend getting a Hulu Plus subscription if you are interested in going back and watching the classic Doctor episodes. But I'm really looking forward to starting on this. It's been a while since I've watched the Daleks, and which means I have to go back. Have to go back. So difficult. And rewatch these episodes before we record next week. So I'm looking forward to it.
We would recommend that you do watch these episodes before you listen to our reviews, because there will be spoilers.
Yes. Any review episode we do, just to throw this out here, will be full spoilers, especially for the classic episodes, because they've been out for so long. Spoiler warning is almost an obsolete notion for those.
52 years is long enough for somebody to have the opportunity to watch something.
Yeah, or read about it online. We'll probably give like a brief summary of the storyline before we jump into our discussion for those that are interested or haven't seen it. And if you don't care about spoilers and just want to learn more about classic episodes, great. We'd love to have you along. Be sure to follow us on our various social media sites. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/TalkingTimeLords. Our Twitter handle is @TalkingTimeLord, and you can email us with episode suggestions or comments if you want to at talkingtimelords@gmail.com. And all of that can be found on our website, talkingtimelords.com. Oh, and before I forget, I do want to let everybody know that we have a YouTube channel. YouTube channel is just Talking Time Lords Podcast. Search Talking Time Lords on YouTube. And basically what it is our podcast episodes are just going on YouTube as videos. It's just another way to reach people who sometimes just listen to things through YouTube. So if you know anybody who does that, please let them know. And tell them to check out Talking Time Lords on YouTube. But I think that about wraps up this episode of Talking Time Lords. It's been episode number 4, The Dark Side of the Doctor panel. For Paul, I'm Jason. And until next time,
may you hope far-flung hopes and dream impossible dreams.
Thanks, guys.
Talking Time Lords is a proud member of the Thunderquack Podcast Network. Visit thunderquack.com to see their entire catalog of podcasts, or visit patreon.com/thunderquack to help support the shows.